How's it going, dude? How are you feeling today?
I'm doing fine. Are you, I mean, I saw you earlier today, so it's not really a point of asking how you're doing. You seem to be you seem to be doing fine.
Yeah. True. Yeah, my day's been good. Already streaming for 5 hours. It doesn't really feel like it. Um,
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because I popped in like what was it, like around 2 p.m. ET, and you were watching the thing with Zach,
yeah,
and that was like forever ago.
yeah, I know, which is crazy. I just got absorbed by the game, which worked out. It allowed me to uh, draw out some time before like we get into the evening, where I'm sure more people will be available.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thanks for being there while we were interviewing Hooky. I'm sure he appreciated that, but I'm sure he can also like take the save clip and use it for himself as well. So, um,
Oh yeah.
but yeah. So, Mr. PKK, you were not interviewed the last time around. So, we actually have part 1 and 2 to go through. Um,
Ooh.
uh, is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm here to be interviewed, so I'm
Okay,
I'm ready for it.
fantastic. So before we get started, I do want to ask, is it okay if like I record or save clip anything from this conversation?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay, cool. Um, and I know you have M Talk, but this may not be the appropriate place to put that. But if you did want to like take what I save and use it for yourself, put it in a Discord or somewhere else, if you wanted to share it, you're more than welcome to do that as well. I'm not like gatekeeping this content. It's definitely as much yours as it is for me. So yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, definitely. I can't imagine like making an announcement like, "Hey, here's an interview I did," and then people would be like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah, yeah.
He'd probably leave the server at that point. Like, why are you posting that garbage? All
That's
right.
funny. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then if anyone can let me know how PKK sounds, according to Streamlabs, it does seem like he's sounding a-okay. But if there's a balance between his voice, mine, and the music, um, please let me know if something seems a little off. But I think we're good. So, to get started here, I have some introductory questions for you. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, before we really get into the thick of it, do you mind introducing yourself as far as like your name or alias, what you like to go by? Generally, who are you if someone's uninitiated?
All right. Real name is Evan. I'll leave it at that. Alias or nickname, I guess, would be PK Kirby. As for who am I, currently, most people from this community would know me as, like, at this point, the main admin of MTAC, which is the Mario Tennis Aces Club Discord server.
Mm-hmm.
I've been running that for primarily, I'd say, for like maybe 2.5 years, maybe even 3 at this point, which is kind of crazy. Um, I also help run a Mario Baseball server as well, Mario Superstar Baseball for the GameCube, so I do that.
Hmm.
Um, and then I don't know, like I've also just exist in other places too, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you for that. So,
Hmm.
to get started with a few silly questions here. Well, not silly, but pretty standard stuff. What would you say is your favorite color?
Favorite color is definitely orange.
Ooh.
That would be because when I was really young, my favorite drink was orange juice. So it was like, oh yeah, if I'm drinking orange juice, then I gotta like orange. Um, I don't even drink orange juice as much nowadays because I don't know, I just don't buy it. But I think like another thing that I focus on with orange is like when it's like a really pretty sunset outside and then like the sky turns orange. I always think that looks really nice.
Yeah.
Um, it's like I don't know, it's like that perfect middle ground between like the bright sunny yellow and the kind of like harsh red. It's like that nice little middle ground, and it's like it's sucky because I say my favorite is orange, and the first apparently the deal is like it's like one of the worst or like least like primary colors for
Hmm.
some reason. I'm not sure. I think the way I had it explained to me was like when people think of orange, they think of like people in jail jumpsuits. So they think of
Oh.
like prison, and it's like, oh well, geez. Like I just think of the fruit orange. Like I don't know what gets people thinking like, oh, if they're wearing orange, that means they got to go to jail. But
Yeah.
I guess that's like a big reason why people don't like that color. So it's kind of sucky. It's not like a well-known or liked color, but it's definitely my favorite.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think you gave good reasoning for it though. Like sunsets would not be as beautiful as they are if there was not those orange hues in there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um and yeah, oranges, the fruit, solid. I actually might say that it would be like one of my favorite fruits because I'm not a big fan of fruit as a whole. Definitely prefer vegetables. Oranges are up there. So solid pick, I'd say. Also, I think orange is a pretty unique favorite color. You know, you got like the pretty standard ones like blue, red, black, maybe. But orange, I think, is less picked. So you know what? Good on you. I like that.
Thanks. I like the blues. I like the greens as well. I think like if I had to choose like a next favorite color, it'd probably be like sea green, like that kind of like lightish
Mm,
green color. I really like.
yeah.
But primarily it is orange, so that is the one.
Okay. So PKK. What would you say is like your favorite time to have a meal? Is it breakfast? Is it lunch? Is it dinner?
Ooh, it's between breakfast and dinner for sure. Bobe would kill me, but I like there are days I just don't eat lunch, so I can't say it's lunch if like I'm so willing to skip it.
Mm.
Um, I think that there's nothing quite like a really good dinner, because like like people go out for dinner, like
Yeah.
they can go out for lunch and like maybe if you're feeling it, like you go to the diner and you get like some pancakes from a diner, which are also really good. But like when people think of like, I'm gonna really go out and have like a nice meal, like it's usually dinner. And like a lot of the foods that I can think of where I'm like, oh man, like I'd really like to eat this, like I probably would eat it at dinner. So I think dinner would have to be the one. Although I can't deny that like waking up to like a good breakfast with coffee is like a really nice feeling. So
Yep.
it's dinner first, then breakfast second, and then like fourth is lunch, and then third is like snack before dinner.
I see. Okay.
Like that, like that's basically how it comes at this point.
Are you the type of person who will still eat after dinner? Like, are you a big snacker? Like after like in the later evening, nighttime?
I forget who said this. It's probably like a quote from somewhere, but like it perfectly describes like the way I think about it.
Hmm.
Um, it was like a quote like men just want one little treat, and like that's the way I think of food after dinner. It's like I just want that one little treat. It could be like two covered almonds or like one Oreo, like nothing substantial, just
Yeah.
like one itty bitty little thing that's sweet, and then that completes the meal. So that would primarily be it. I definitely try to avoid eating after dinner because that's when a lot of people tend to like, I don't know, like late night they start like, oh, I'm still awake, I can grab some chips, and then like
Yeah.
they're not thinking because they're so tired, and then suddenly you've eaten half the bag of chips. It's like, oh well, shit. So,
Yep.
I definitely try to avoid that, but I do try to sneak in like a little treat afterwards.
I see. Yeah, fair enough for sure. So with dinner being the favorite here, would you say that you have like a favorite dinner meal specifically?
The big three that always pop in my mind, and like I don't get these consistently enough to be like, oh man, there's like this one that I have all the time, but like my favorite foods are usually like pizza, hamburger, or sushi, and like those are
Mm.
generally like dinner time meals, at least when I have them. Um, I'd say the one that I would have the most often would, I don't know, either pizza or hamburgers, but like the real treat is sushi whenever I grab that because I'm not like going, because sushi's pretty expensive, so you're not picking that
Yeah.
up like every day.
Hmm.
But like when you have a chance to pick up some sushi, that's definitely like I think like really good like top of the line sushi is probably like my ultimate favorite, I'd say.
Yeah, I actually think I'm right there with you. I am a big fan of sushi, so that is definitely up there for me. What does it say? It's my favorite? I don't know, but it's definitely like top three meals for sure, 100%. So, uh,
Yeah, like those are the three that like if anyone wanted to ask me like where would you want to go, like I'd probably first think of like some place to get a burger because it's cheapish, and
mhm.
I probably think of like, oh, like a pretty good pizza place nearby, but like if we have the money to spend, then it's like let's get some sushi.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, all right. Good answer. Good answer. I like that. So, moving on here. What consumes most of your free time currently?
The big four right now are moderating the couple of discords that I'm in,
Hmm.
work, master's work, and then just being on the computer, either YouTube videos, I guess, or no, or like maybe like surfing Reddit a little bit.
Oh, I
Like
see.
those are probably like the main four things that I'm doing.
Are you
Are
an
those three things?
are you
Four
an
things.
active Reddit user, or do you just kind of lurk, just kind of like check stuff out?
Um, it depends on what you define as active. Like, will I comment on things once in a while? Yes, but I'm not like one of those people that's like, oh, I got to make sure to post on this so I can get a lot of karma, and like I
Yeah.
really care about all my karma. It's like I don't give a care about karma. But like if I see a
Yeah.
comment that's like, like if I'm like reading a Smash Bros post and somebody's like, oh, here's what I think of this, and I'm like, well, I don't really think that. So and then I comment to like say, like, oh, this is what I think, and then we can actually have like a nice little discussion about it. So I don't know if that like counts as being like super active, but like I'm on it a good chunk of time just because the way that the internet is, like you refresh it, like you look at it like once an hour, and it's like, oh, there's like this new thing, so
Yeah.
I get to learn about this new thing that's going on, and like it also is like I don't want to say a decent, I'm not completely forget. I was gonna say it's a decent source of news. It's not a source of news. Don't get your news from Reddit. But like it allows me to see something, and then I can look deeper into other news places to get more
Yeah.
info.
Okay,
Do
yeah,
not
sure.
get your news. If you get your news specifically from Twitter or Reddit, like you gotta don't do that. That's my one thing for you guys. Like actually go and find a source of news, like a news channel or a news website or like a newspaper or something like that, please.
Yeah, for sure. If you're the type who likes to absorb like news media from like online shenanigans, do you ever watch Hassan on Twitch?
I do not, because I think that guy, I think he's very, I don't know. I don't watch him, so I can't like go out and say like, oh no, here's what I think about this guy. But
Yeah.
I definitely get a sense of like if you watch Hassan, you're just like there because you think his viewpoints are right and you just want him to like say what you think like for hours on end. It's like, oh man, can you believe that Trump is bad? Like, yeah. And, like now, do I need to listen to that for like 2 hours straight about how he's bad? No, I don't think so. I think that you've pretty much hit the point.
Yeah.
So and especially not Twitch streamers, man. Like, they're not my source of news because where are they getting their news? Like, I don't know, probably from a place where they actually have the information, So
Yeah.
I try to stay away from politics, especially with Twitch streamers.
Yeah. No, you bring up a really good point where it's like it's really easy to like find stuff where it's just like an echo chamber. You're just like taking in what you want to hear just to reiterate or reestablish viewpoints that you already hold. And that can kind of happen really anywhere. It can happen like with your social media. It can happen on Reddit, which is just the social media for people who don't like social media. It can happen on YouTube content as well. There's plenty of like news, YouTube news type of channels, and yeah, it's unavoidable. So it's just a matter of recognizing like recognizing like the media for what it is, whatever you choose to consume, and just trying your best to like not only take in one source. So yeah.
Yeah, what I'd say with that is like something that's very clear is like, obviously people want to try and diversify like where they're getting their information from, but it's harder now than it ever has been because algorithms in stuff like YouTube and Twitter and Google especially, like they'll point you to things that they think you want to see. So like, especially for a thing like YouTube, I definitely see it the most in that platform where like depending on what you're watching, like they're just going to keep suggesting you the same types of videos. So it's very easy where if you watch like even one political video, like suddenly your homepage is going to have a few different ones that like speak the same viewpoint, and then after a while you just keep watching those and those, and then suddenly congrats, you're in the echo chamber. So I think the important thing that you kind of touched on is making sure to recognize that it's very easy to fall into an echo chamber, especially nowadays, and it behooves you to diversify your news outlets, even if it's like a place you don't like, at least so that you can hear their point of view, and then you can like, look at both sides and actually come up with your own opinion. Because big shocker, a lot of news nowadays, it's mainly people just giving their opinion on the facts.
Yeah.
And so like you can take their opinion, or you can actually look at the facts yourself and come up with your own opinion that is just as valid as theirs.
Yeah.
So that's what you should do, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
But don't take my word for it. Look for sources that aren't just me, and then find your own opinion.
Yeah. It's kind of funny to talk about a topic like this, to be like, listen to me telling you to not listen to people.
Yeah, exactly. Like, don't listen to me, but also listen to me. It's a tricky thing. But I don't know. Basically, just make sure that you're the one actually doing the thinking and not just letting other people think for you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we kind of went on a little tangent on that one, but I don't mind one bit. That's nice. Definitely important to talk about. So, trying to get back on track here. I want to ask: is there a hobby that you want to have, or any hobby that you've thought of that you think that you would like, but you haven't like actually engaged in it yet?
I think one that pops in my mind from time to time would be actually taking up tennis, or at least like learning how to play tennis, not like professionally or anything like that, or like competing in tournaments, but just like generally being good at tennis because like I'm around tennis a lot and I think about it and I think that it is like ultimately my favorite sport, but I haven't taken the time to actually like pick it up. So I don't know. And like it can also be tough because it's like one of those sports where if you want to like consistently play it, you got to like find a spot. And it's like one of those like club sports, so you need to like find a club. So it can be a bit more difficult than say like putting two sticks in the ground and then calling it a goal and playing soccer.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
but you know, like I like it because with a lot of other sports, like you got to rely on other people to like pick up the slack, and like you could be trying your absolute hardest, but like if you pass the ball to the guy and then he shoots it and he misses, then like the whole team is done for. It's like, oh well, that kind of stinks. But
Yeah.
with tennis, it's like all you, unless you're like you have a doubles partner. But like for the most part, it's all you, and like I think it's a good way to kind of like track your progress and just be like, oh, you know, I wasn't able to hit this forehand down the line yesterday, but a couple days later, I'm able to do that, and I'm able to like keep up with this other player and things like that. So I think sports like that, like tennis and golf, are like good ways to kind of gauge your progress, and I think it makes it a lot more fun than just like you can be good at a baseball or a basketball or a football, but it will only take you so far as being like in a team sport.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I get that. Tennis sounds really cool. I think would you say that you're kind of like sports inclined like naturally, or is it just like this kind of like is a standout thing for you?
I'd say it's definitely a standout thing. I did do sports when I was younger, but I fell into the same trap that a lot of kids fall into where like you know I think you probably had the situation too, like I'll bet a lot of people had the situation where when you're in those younger years like first, second, third grade, like your parents just kind of sign you up for every sport.
Mm.
And so like you know I did baseball and I did soccer and I did basketball, but like because I was kind of like not thinking about being in those sports, but instead they kind of put me in it themselves, like I never really like grew to like it personally. So like
Hmm.
when I was done with the seasons, like I'd be done with it, and then I never like continued to practice in those sports. Um, I think that if I put more thought into like a sport that I liked, where in this case I'd say nowadays it would be tennis, that maybe I would take the time back then to actually focus on that sport, and maybe I'd be like pretty adept at it by this point.
Yeah. Okay. Valid. Valid. I like that.
Mm.
All right. So let me bring it back. Just got home. Okay, Hawkins, no problem. Um, let me ask you. Did you have a favorite toy or game as a kid?
Toy or game? By like game, do you mean like video game?
Yeah. Yeah.
When I was a kid, it would have to be Donkey Kong 64 for the
Mm.
N64. That game, like it's not a good game, I'll admit. Like you know, like there are tons of video essays that you can find on YouTube being like, and this is why Donkey Kong 64 is bad, and how it killed all 3D collectathon games forever, and how you shouldn't play it. But like it, but that game does a lot of things that I really enjoy. The music and the atmosphere I think are unmatched by any game from that time.
Mm.
Obviously, I really like the characters, and I don't know, I like the main problem with the game is that there's too many things to collect. But I had a lot of fun collecting them. So with more things to collect, it's like, well, if I already love the game, there's just so much more of the game to get. Then I don't know. It was something that I really enjoyed at the time, and I made sure to play the whole way through. And I just really enjoyed it, and even nowadays, like I think back to it, and it's like, yeah, that was a good time. So I'd say that was my favorite game to play back then.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about TV show as a kid? Does anything stand out to you?
As a kid, I can take this in like two way. I don't know. Like there's like I can think of like different eras,
Uh huh.
like in my time. So like young young brain, Blue's Clues. Like that show was the bee's
Okay.
knees.
Yeah, 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 for
Love
sure.
Blue's Clues, dude. Steve was the goat.
Yeah.
After that, like Pokemon, when like that was the big craze, like I made sure to watch all the episodes of Pokemon I could. After that, it would have to be SpongeBob because that came like right after that, and everybody could quote SpongeBob. I remember there was a specific time in second grade where it was the episode where Patrick joins the boating school with SpongeBob, and I could literally recite the entire episode from memory, from start to finish.
Wow.
Like,
We.
like that's how much I was watching SpongeBob when I was younger. And then a bit older, I think where it kind of stops would be Teen Titans would probably be the one that
Ooh.
I watched a lot when I was older because I really enjoyed favorite characters then were Beast Boy and Cyborg. I thought they were really cool.
Yeah, they were for sure.
I thought that the power to like turn into any animal was like super sick. And it was probably like the first kind of serious show, like if you could call it serious, but like, you know, they had some like deeper storylines and characters actually had to go through some real stuff. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I thought it was really cool. And it's a shame because like the show had to stop before they got to like a natural conclusion.
Yeah.
But you know, it is what it is. And I'd say that that's kind of like the groups of shows from like the different eras. If I had to like choose one, I'd say primarily SpongeBob, just because like those first 3 seasons, I have them like all in my brain and I can like quote them like mad. So I'd say primarily that one.
Yeah. No, good answers all around. I feel like all very notable and all very like, you know, like any one of those could be like any person's like favorite show for sure. So yeah, that's actually sick. So you bringing up Beast Boy and how he can turn into any animal is convenient for this next question. What is your favorite animal or type of animal?
Ooh, I have two in mind. I think the obvious one to say would be monkey, because for some reason I just really like monkeys. Like Diddy Kong's a monkey.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My favorite Pokemon is Apom, who's a monkey. So like clearly I like monkeys.
Yeah.
But another animal that always pops in my head is actually the bear.
Ooh.
I like bears. I don't know, they're just big dudes just walking around the forest just doing their thing, and obviously like they can be pretty mean and things like that, but they just look like big dudes that just get to hang out, you know, go to the river, grab some fish. They're just like big chill dudes that just get to hang around. So I've always liked those big guys.
Yeah, 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 for sure. That makes sense. All right. So, if you were to have, or let's just say, an upcoming weekend, right? You had to choose between a weekend at the beach, a weekend in the woods, or a weekend of just playing video games. What sounds the most appealing to you?
I'd have to say the beach. I and I think Hooky said this before in his interview, and I totally agree. Like, there's a different vibe when you're at the beach, like smelling the air, the salty air, and like just kind of like being in the sun and getting to sit on the sand. There's definitely a different vibe there that you can't get from just sitting at home. And
Yeah.
I don't know. And there's just like a lot of nice things that you can do at the beach. You know, there's usually, at least near me, there's like boardwalks. You can like walk down the boardwalks and
Yeah.
go to the different stores and go to pick up some food. And there's usually like good seafood near the beach, so want to make sure to pick up some of that as well. And I don't know. I hate the woods. When I was younger, I had to stay at a sleepaway camp for like a week, and it was like the most miserable time ever. Like I hated it so much.
Wowee.
Um, and like the idea of camping is like so against me because especially since when I was younger, I used to be allergic to mosquitoes,
Oh,
and you better believe there are a lot of mosquitoes in the woods.
my, oh my,
Um,
yeah.
thankfully I'm not allergic to them now, but like back then, like I can't imagine like staying in the woods where like if I'm sleeping in a tent, like mosquitoes are just gonna fly in and you know do what they do. So
Yeah.
woods would not be a fan thing. And then play video games. I don't even. It's such a funny thing because I'm in all these discords and stuff, but I don't play video games as much as I like most people do. I guess like it's not something that I think about as much.
Hmm.
So I guess if I choose between the three, I think that there's more stuff for me to enjoy at the beach than either of those other two.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, I'm right there with you with the woods thing. I went camping with some friends of mine, to the Grand Canyon. Like, there was like these camping spots, designated camping spots that are like kind of in the area. It was really hard. I did not have that much fun. uh,
Yeah,
Camping out in the woods, I don't think it's just for me, and that's okay.
yeah. I definitely think like, and I'm assuming it was probably the same way with you, where like it depends on the people you're with. Like I'm sure just by being with your friends, it was like a much better experience.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, like most of the friends that I think of, like they're not much campers either, so I
I
don't think they would
see.
enjoy it as much as anybody else would.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, thank you for answering those pretty simple questions here. Now I want to move on to some hypotheticals, right? And so
Okay.
let's get started with the part one that I asked people the last time around, and that is this. If you could win big money if you remain in a room with access to only one video game to play for 21 days, food and water supplied. So like you're absolutely stuck in here. You don't need to leave. You only have one video game to choose to entertain you for these 21 days. What do you think you're choosing?
It's interesting because I'm gonna like I could be completely wrong in choosing this game, but I get a vibe from it that I think that it would be a good choice. I think I would choose Xenoblade 3.
Wow, we.
'Cause I think there's, at least from what I hear, like people are like, oh man, there's hundreds of hours of content in that game. It's like, well dang, that's a lot of content. And and I could like pace myself and stuff, and I could really get absorbed in the story.
Yeah.
Because I always hear that like the Xenoblade stories are like super. I mean, obviously you're a big Chronicles fan, so like the stories are like really enjoyable. So and it's because I've never played a Xenoblade game, but I also think that's a part of the reason why I would choose it. Because like I think a lot of people would be like, oh, I played this game that I played a bunch of times before, but it's like after a while I'd have to get bored because I already know everything that I need to do. But like
Yeah.
with Xenoblade 3, I assume like it's a completely new style, so I'd have to learn how to get good at the game first, and then like that will take some time off just from like me having to get good, and then then I get to enjoy the story. The worlds are like huge, so there's just a bunch of running around and stuff you can do, and like collecting all the items, I assume, like all the different side quests and all that different stuff. I'm sure like by the end of the story I'll be like really happy and satisfied. And then like if I need to take more time, like if I remember correctly in the game, you can like shift your EXP so you can be on like different levels and stuff.
Correct.
So then I could do like challenge runs, and like that could take up some time where like I could try to beat the game at a certain level, and it's like that's like its own little challenge thing that could take up some time. So I think I'd choose that one.
Yeah, for sure. Xenoblade 3 I think would be a solid choice where there is tidbits of recalling from the first game and the second game, or rather Xenoblade 1 and Xenoblade 2. Obviously there's also Xenoblade Chronicles X, but it definitely ties in the stories of 1 and 2 a little bit. It's more so one of those things where it's like if you played 1 and 2, it's like, oh, that thing. But it's definitely like a standalone thing for the most part. So you can definitely enjoy 3 for what it is if you were to only play that one. And
Okay.
I think what it does really well is it learns what it did well in 1 and in 2 and combines it in a very seamless way to where it's like we have learned from our past video game making to create something that is just like the best of what we have offered so far.
Nice. So would you so like if you had to choose, like would you recommend that game out of the 3 for me to play, or would you want me to choose any of those other 3?
If you had no desire to really get into the series and you were like, let me just play one game and let me just see if like I'm into it, I don't think I'm gonna play another game after this one. Xenoblade 3 would definitely be that one, 100%. My favorite is definitely the first one. Just based off a story, I think I got immersed in the world the most in that one. The storyline definitely hit me the hardest, and I think just at the time it just like offered me something that was really good. They did remake it for the Switch, so it's like it did get like very nice quality of life changes on the remake. So that's a solid option as well. You wouldn't be making a mistake in that where it's like, oh, yeah, like I can offer you, or I can suggest Xenoblade 1, but because you have to go back and play like this OG version that came out like on the Wii, it's like, you could definitely tell that it's aged, The remake, I think, does a good job of doing some quality life changes. Even still, I think Xenoblade 3, like I said, took the good things of the first, took the good things of Xenoblade 2, combined it, and made something really beautiful. So that's sick. You're into like the music and scores of video games as well. I think Xenoblade 3, despite me not being able to pick out specific songs, does have a really good score. There's certain like boss fights that you get into that are just really, really epic just because of the music. Like you said, like there's a wide world to explore, and they don't like, the music doesn't get like repetitive and boring. The only major criticism I think is across the entire series, where because there's like such a large amount of people on the screen at a time, you'll hear like these interactions between them and hear it like so repeatedly that it's just like, all right, I've had enough. I've had enough of you saying this for one line every single time we defeat an enemy.
Yeah, I remember the one that I heard before from, well, I think it was Xenoblade 2. It was like, let's give him a thing or three, or like something like that.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
that's so funny.
yeah. So, Xenoblade 3 is a big recommendation on my end. If someone were to only play one of the Xenoblade series, so that's where my head's at. But yeah, um, moving on to another hypothetical here. Let's say that you encounter and befriend an alien, and they could offer you one of three things. One, supply unlimited services of a cook for 6 months, and you don't have to pay for groceries. Two, work at you as your job, or work as you at your job for 6 months, and do it exactly as you would. They'd essentially be a clone of you. No one would suspect it's not you. Or three, have access to their spaceship for 6 months that can take you anywhere on Earth. You'll never be caught. You don't need to like try to be sneaky about it. You can just use it as, whenever you want.
Hmm. Like all three of them have like definitely have their pros. Like with the first one, it's like don't have to pay for groceries. That's pretty sick.
Yep.
The second one, don't have to work at my job for 6 months. That's pretty sick. And then third one, I mean, going anywhere is also pretty sick. I think I would actually choose two. I think I would have them work as me at my job for 6 months because, like, thinking financially, like, they get that, and then that leaves me to, like, do a side hustle or, like, get money doing this other, like, thing that I actually, like, I enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't even have to be, like, too much money because, like, I'm already getting the primary income from whatever the alien person's doing. So, like, that could kind of, like, leave me a chance to, like, do something else and see if, like, that gets started. Because, like, maybe, like, hypothetically speaking, like, I wouldn't do it, but I know, like, it's a dream that people do. Is like, let's say, like, person does my job for 6 months. Like, I'm going to become a YouTuber or I'm going to become a Twitch streamer.
Yeah.
And then, like, I put in the 6 months, like really going into it because I'm getting the income from the other thing. And then like
Yeah.
let's say for some reason like somehow I become like a big YouTuber or Twitch streamer, then like after that job is done, I could just have the alien be like, yo, after like maybe 2 weeks before, like put in your 2 weeks notice, and now I'm like great big YouTuber guy, Twitch streamer guy.
I see.
You know? So like that's kind of like something to think about there. And like at the worst case scenario is you're getting two different incomes, so you're just making more money. I know something that people have said before was like three because they would like to go everywhere. But I feel like when you can go anywhere, I feel like you're gonna be able to go anywhere in like a month, and then you still have it for like 5 months. It's like, well, I don't know where else I would want to go.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, no, valid points, to be honest with you. I am also in the camp of two. Not because I hate my work, but just because, yeah, if I could just like have time to myself for 6 whole months, that would be crazy awesome. Like you said, you still have like that primary income coming in. So even though I don't have the ease of a spaceship, I can still use that time to travel.
Yeah, exactly. Like nothing's like if there aren't many places that I can think of where it's like, man, I really need to go to like 50 different places. Like there are only a few places that like, I'd really like to see before I go. So like I could use that time to go there, and like I'd still be getting income even when I'm there. So it's like it's not even taking vacation hours. I just go. So like that'd be pretty dope.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So kind of going back to animals here. If you could be reincarnated as an animal, would it be the same as your favorite animal?
That's between would I want to be a monkey or a bear? Um, Dang, that's tough. Because like I said, bears are just so chill. Like they're just like walking around, they're doing their own thing, and they don't
Yeah.
really have to worry about like predators or anything because they're like one of the apex. So they just get to kind of like exist and they kind of just get to do their thing.
Yeah.
But man, no, yeah, I think I'm gonna go with bear because like I don't like I think bears just get to like chill around and do whatever they want. Like I'm thinking like with monkeys, I'd have to be like really coordinated to like swing on trees and like go through vines, and like if I mess up once and like fall from a tree, I'm dead. I mean, while like bears, like they can climb a tree, but it's not like their main thing. Like I get to stay
Yeah.
grounded, I get to walk around, and people will generally be pretty scared of me. And like, I don't really have to worry about them. I don't think there's any like, well, I don't know. There's probably like hunters and stuff, but if there are hunters for bears, there's hunters for monkeys. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'll go with bear.
Honestly, solid pick. I like that answer a lot. To pick like an apex predator like a bear for the woods, I think is a really good choice. You know, like you have so much more freedom. There's certainly unique things that other animals have going for them, but it's like if you just get mauled by like your predator, it's like, well then GG's.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
really know who the predators of the monkeys are, but like the way I think of it is like I'd be like a spider monkey or like something similar to like what Diddy is, where like
Mm.
he has like the big tail and he can swing around, but they're also kind of little. So like I don't know if they did have a predator, then I'd be a pretty small dude and they could just like kill me.
Yeah.
With bears, they're like big, so like even if for some reason somebody was going after a bear, like I'm like 2 tons or something, so I have fun with that.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a good one. Okay, so uh I want to reiterate, completely hypothetical here, but if I or anybody, but maybe me, were to take you out
Hmm.
on a date, what are some things that would be crucial or very helpful to know? And by this, I'm trying to say, like, do you have any icks? Do you have any pet peeves?
This is tough because I mean I'll be honest in saying I haven't been on very many. Um,
Yeah.
so I can't go back on like previous experience. I think that something that comes to mind is like I'd want the person to be very present and not think so far forward because I think like something that I imagine happens from time to time will be like, especially because with dating it can be very like phone dating where like you kind of know the person but you don't, so you're kind of using that time to like get to know them a lot, but also like plan for the possibility of the future.
Hmm.
So I think like it's kind of important to be more present and like to just kind of treat the day as it is.
Yeah.
You know, like if you start asking me like, oh, you know, it's like, what are your thoughts on kids? It's like, whoa, like, all right, like let's slow our roll because I know there are probably some people out there that's like, oh, what are your thoughts on kids? Like, oh, you know, I don't really think of having a kid yet. Oh, you know, bye, because you know, because I want to have kids when I grow up. When I
Yeah.
want to be a mom or I want to be a dad. It's like,
Yeah.
so you're completely out of it. It's like, well, let's not think about that because before that we'd have to like each other and then we'd have to like love each other and then we'd
Yeah.
have to like get married or something like that.
Yeah.
So like, I think focusing too much on like the future or like plans for the future rather than just kind of like experiencing what it is like in the present. Like if we were to go to a coffee shop, like let's just be at the coffee shop and we can talk about like interests and like maybe some plans in the future in terms of like, oh, you know, it's like what are you doing next month or yada yada. But like I think if you're looking too far ahead in the future when like talking on a date, it's like you're not really focused on me, you're focused on what you want me to be and what you're hoping for me to be. And like
Yeah.
that's not really going to get us anywhere would be my thought on that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, fair enough. Um, Definitely a very reasonable thing to like be hesitant towards, you know? Some people may
Hmm.
just be way too forward with what they're desiring, and if it's not what your current situation is allowing for, it's like I didn't sign up for this. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. So, moving on here, if you could be a successful musical artist in any music genre, which one would it be?
Wouldn't be much, well, I don't know, like success because the one I'm thinking of, like even the top artists in this one aren't very like super successful, like being played on the radio.
Hmm.
But like my favorite genre is something called plunderphonics. I don't know if you've heard of it before.
I don't
It's like,
think so.
I sound like so snobby. Like, I don't know. Have you heard of plunderphonics? But
No.
it's the idea of like taking samples from previous like works of art and like stitching them together to make your own piece. So like
Hmm.
samples that you hear in like hip hop beats or things like that would be kind of examples of that. But
Yeah.
like I'd say the best example like to kind of like get where I'm coming from is there's an album called Since I Left You by the Avalanches, and that album is made it's completely made up of samples. It's made up of like literally tens of thousands of samples from
Oh.
like the 1930s, 40s, 50s, from like music from like all over the world and things like that. And it's like all coalesced into like this one album, and it's like its own unique thing. And it's like, whoa, like you took all these disparate parts and you kind of put them together into its own like magical thing. It's like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if I wanted to make music, I'd want it to be something like that, where like, well, like I think it's just so cool to be able to like hear certain parts of a song because it could be like split second of a song where like a person hits a note, they're like, ooh, that sounds good, and you stitch
Mm.
that together with like the beat from this other song that you really liked. It's like, ooh, I'll put it with this beat, and then like maybe I'll add like a backing track from this, and then I'll maybe include like a sound from this, and then like it makes its own unique thing. It's like, whoa, this is kind of crazy, but
Yeah.
like it also sounds super good. So I'd want to be a successful artist in that, just because I already love the genre so much and think that there's like a real special thing with it. So like to be a successful artist in that and get to like share it with everybody would be really cool.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is kind of like the first. Well, obviously, sampling is not like anything.
Yeah, like I think everybody understands sampling,
Yeah,
but
but what
like
you're
like I said, like
describing,
if you're in the chat, like I highly recommend that album Since I Left You, and you'll kind of like get the idea of like, well, these are a lot of different things like put together weirdly, but it's also like beautiful and like it kind of and like there's another thing that is like on YouTube if you find I think it's a musical artist named Pogo where he makes
mm.
plunderphonic songs on like Disney movies or like
Oh,
TV shows and they like perfectly encapsulate like the feeling and vibe of a show without it being like
oh,
watching the show.
yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think of like ones that I would recommend. I think the ones that are super good are damn, I want to like look it up. There's like a Fiddler on the Roof one that's like gorgeous. There's like there's one for Up that's like super good, and there's one for oh what is it? Oh like there's one for The Simpsons that's like super like nice because like it focuses on like the early seasons and like all the great things from that like put all into like one little song. It's like whoa, like, this is awesome. So those are my recommendations. Listen to Since I Left You and listen to songs from Pogo on YouTube, and like you'll kind of get the vibe of what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, that's so interesting. This genre of music is completely foreign to me up until this point. So thank you for sharing. That's awesome.
Hmm.
All right, so PKA, would you say that you have like a bucket list? Would you say that you have like a list of things that like you'd want to do before your time is done?
Yeah. I'd like to have a stable job.
Oh yeah.
I'm, I'm, I'm learning to be an accountant right now, so I'd like
Mm-hmm.
to, I'm getting my master's, so I'm going to get my master's, and then I'm going to get a job, and then that'll be that, and then after that, I'd like to like have like a stable living situation, preferably like on my own. It's like not like roommate. Like I know the thing is like you have to have a roommate nowadays. I prefer to not have one because I like having my own space. So that would kind of be a goal in terms of like I don't know places I'd want to visit. I think I'd probably different events and like see like historical things happen and like having your voice be like part of that I think is like super special. And like I definitely felt that during my time. I think it was like the year that I was the Mario Tennis commentator guy.
Yeah.
I definitely felt good like knowing that all of these big tournaments like I was able to provide something alongside them and like give my insight or like make people laugh. And so I really enjoyed my time that, especially like the whole thing going to Switch Fest and getting to commentate that
Mm-hmm.
tournament was like huge for me. Like I loved that.
Yeah.
So, but like, and I would say like, oh, that one of it, why not a video game? But like, that's not a very lucrative thing. Like, I'll just looking legit. Like, it would probably like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I could commentate Smash, but Smash is kind of on the downturn right now, so I wouldn't
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
jump on that boat quite yet. I'm not really interested in things like Overwatch or League of Legends or Valorant. Those are different things. Maybe like a fighting game like Street Fighter, but I'd have to learn a lot of stuff like that. So I think sports commentary, because I do enjoy sports, and I think there are a lot of different avenues, and there's some really famous and well-known and cool sportscasters out there, and I think to have my name alongside them would have been really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I like that. I like that. Um, if I were to ask you, PKK, what is your most memorable achievement, or what is your biggest regret? Which one of these questions do you think you'd be more readily able to answer?
Ooh, I think I'll go with achievement.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a weird one. Well, maybe not weird, but it's not like huge, I guess. But I guess it's huge to me. Um, in junior year of high school, like I was part of the marching band, and I was in marching band. Well, like I did band elementary school, and I did band in middle school, and I did marching band in high school, and I had done it for the 2 years before that, and then that third year we did a show, and it was just a very good, like solid show idea that we did, and we went to different competitions all around the state of New Jersey, and we did really well. And, like nothing like crazy. We weren't getting like first every single time, but like getting respectable scores all over the place. And then
Mm-hmm.
went to regionals and did very well there. And then the last show that we always do is we go down to nationals, which I think is in Virginia. And when we got there, like the main idea was like, Montville. I'm sorry, I just like said where I was. Whatever, Montville was the high school I went to. Montville's not gonna like get first place. Like
Mm-hmm.
whenever we went there, we get like ninth place or like 10th place out of like 20 schools.
Okay.
So like that was like to be expected. So like we do our best, and like some other school that's like super focused on marching band or is like the best in the country will like win.
Yeah.
And then we did our show, and we thought we did a really good job, and then we're sitting in the stands, and like you got to start like, and in 20th place it's this school, and in 19th place it's this school,
Yeah.
and it goes down the list and down the list, and then it's like, all right, in 10th place it's this school, okay, we're coming soon. And in 9th place it's this school, okay, maybe next one. 8th place, maybe the next one. 7th, and then 6th, and then once it got to 5th place, we're like, okay, this is where like we stop, like we should be here. 4th place, like no, actually we're in 4th. That would make sense. 3rd place, the 2nd place, and it's like no, it's like, and 2nd place is like there's no freaking way you're about to say, you have to say our school right now. It's like, and this school, and it's like, and in 1st place it's this PK Kirby school. It's like, whoa, fuck, what the
Oh
fuck?
my
Like,
god.
that shouldn't have happened. What the hell? It was a big shock for everybody, and I was so proud of like of everybody in the band and the director, and it was just a big moment because I never would have thought that we would have gotten that far. I mean, it was like a big like pride thing for the school, and we got to like a big trophy, and really validated my time there, like
Yeah.
doing all that stuff and like actually like being a thing, because I was happy like doing band and scoring whatever I scored, but to actually have it like result in like that was like a huge thing, an accomplishment
Yeah.
that I'll always look back on fondly.
That is incredible. That's awesome. I would not have thought this about you. Not to say that like it's like, whoa, you were in band? Whoa, weird. No, but like just that whole story I think was a bit unexpected. As unexpected it was for you to win that thing. So
Yeah.
that's really nice. That is so cool. On the topic of this, right? I have another question, so maybe this just falls directly in line. Do you have a fond memory that you think you'll likely never forget? Do you think it would be that?
Ooh. I mean, that's definitely up there. That's definitely near the top of the list for sure. If I had to choose another one, because I don't want to just a memory I'd never forget. Oh, come on. I guess no. I'm thinking of one, but
Mhm.
I feel like it's not quite as big as it should be. Screw it. I'd say probably the biggest thing for when like young me that
Mhm.
like, and it's the first thing I think of. It was when Smash Brothers Brawl was announced. That was such a big deal for
Oh
me back then,
wow.
because back then was I enjoyed my Donkey Kong 64, my Mario 64, but really enjoyed Smash Brothers, and there was something about Smash Brothers even playing it on the N64 that I really loved, and then
Hmm.
really loved Melee, and I played that game so much. Like I played it for hours and hours and hours. And I wasn't like a competitive, you could look at all the people doing tournaments. I never like played it like that, but I played it for hours and hours and hours, and like completed it a billion times.
Yeah.
So when Brawl was announced and that trailer came out, it was like my mind kind of exploded or something. Like, because the way that they did it was like so gorgeous, where it's like it's all the Melee characters and running up to each other, and then suddenly they all transform to their Brawl versions, and it's like, what? They look totally different. And then then the final smashes happen. You're like, oh my, what? They can do like this crazy stuff, and then And then you like Meta Knight shows up, and then Pit shows up. It's like I don't even know who Pit is, but that's cool. And then like Zero Suit Sam's like I didn't even know there was a person inside the suit. Like, and then Wario shows up. He's like, why is he riding on a bike? I never seen him on a bike before because I wasn't like a huge super gamer, so like I didn't even know about WarioWare. It's like, well, he's on a bike and he's like a motorcycle guy. And then of course, at the end, it's like, and the final character we're revealing is Solid Snake. It's like, who the hell is that? I've never seen that in my life. And so I was going crazy. And then I was on that website for Brawl like every single day. And then of course Diddy Kong gets announced at some point. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's my favorite character in all of gaming. And then Sonic was announced. Like, what? It's Sonic the freaking Hedgehog is in the game. So that like the first trailer and then the whole lead up was like some of the most excited I was for video game. And then of course I finally get the game and I played Brawl even more than I played Melee. If I had to remember, I probably put like legit 8,000 hours into that game.
Wow,
and keep in mind, like Brawl was like not good.
Yeah.
like compared to Melee, like the gameplay wasn't as good. So for me, it's like playing Subspace Emissary for the 20th time and playing on Brawl Online, like the Nintendo Wi-Fi connection for the Wii. It's like, and I did that and I played on that for hours and hours and I played through the lag and it was crazy, but I had a lot of fun with that game, and I had a lot of fun playing with friends and things like that. So I'd say that's probably a moment I wouldn't forget.
No, for sure. Yeah, I like that answer. I think it's a good one. Subspace Emissary, I think one of the best stories I've ever had the pleasure of engaging in. Not because like what it did specifically. It's like there's no like profound message in there or anything like that, but just the fact that like a Smash had a story mode. And it was actually like good. Like there's like so many like scenes from that campaign where it's like, oh dude, that was so epic when I first saw that type of thing, And they have not recreated it since, Like there's World of Light and Ultimate, but that definitely falls short.
The cutscenes for Subspace are something special. Like there are some of them. There are some cutscenes on there that are like gorgeous. I mean, obviously this is the one I have to say, but like freaking Donkey Kong jumps out and he's doing his thing, and then they shoot bullet bills at Donkey Kong. It's like, oh no, what's gonna happen? Diddy Kong runs up, he jumps off Donkey Kong's back, he crosses the peanut pop guns, he shoots down all the bullet bills, he lands, the bullet bills explode, and he poses, and I'm like, that is the coolest thing I've seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
Like that's the greatest video game moment I'm ever gonna get. So some of those cutscenes were godlike.
For sure. No, agreed. I like that. So, I think we're approaching like an hour of talking here, which is no problem.
Oh, damn.
But
no, is that okay?
Oh no, it's completely fine.
Because I know you have like more questions.
Yeah, I do have a bit more. But I might just try to go through them a little bit quicker than some of these other ones.
I'll speed things up.
Yeah, no problem. There's definitely some of them where it's like we can certainly take our time. I don't want to rush you through it, so definitely no problem. First, I want to ask, in your opinion, what do you think makes life valuable? If there's like one thing that you could kind of pick out and be like, you know what, this right here, I think adds to the living of life.
Family and friends, for sure. Like, there's only so much that you can get out of doing something on your own, and so making sure that you can experience things alongside other people and get to feel their reactions as well, whether it's somebody in your family or it's somebody that you've gotten to know through friendship. I feel like there's only so much that you can get out of experiencing something all on your lonesome. So definitely making sure that you have like a strong group of people around you is a big deal.
Yeah, for sure. Along with this question, I want to ask, are you content with what you've done with your life so far?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Definitely, I want a job and I want an apartment, and until I get a job and an apartment, then what's the point of living?
No, that's completely fine. I think there's something definitely valuable about like maintaining some level of contentment, but at the same time, sometimes you're not content because it's like, I want this and this done, and like when you're passionate about it, you got a desire to like make some achievement happen. That's also fantastic. So the fact that you have like those goals in mind, I think is really good.
If I started this master's, I'm not dying until I finish that master's. I'll tell you what. Not with all the money I'm spending.
That's funny. No, that's a good one. Let me see here. Okay. Okay. Let me ask this one first. If you could meet your 10-year-old self, but they wouldn't know that it's you, what is some knowledge or advice that you might try to pass on? Or would you not try to pass on anything at all?
Who simply put, grab a piece of paper and write down the following words. When you're growing up, you're going to learn of this thing called Bitcoin. Whatever money you have in money you have at that time, put it all on Bitcoin, and then sell it when it gets to $60,000, and then that'll be it.
Okay, I like it. Good answer. Good answer.
If I only get that one chance, that's what I'm doing.
That is funny. That's
Mhm.
I like that. Um, moving on now. If you could change or improve one thing about yourself, what do you think that you would choose, whether it be physical or like personality wise?
Self-esteem, absolutely.
Mm,
There are many things that I probably would have done if I was just a little bit more confident. I think I would know more people and have more of a friend group than I do now. If I was a bit more open to talk with people, I think I would have experienced a lot more things, especially during high school when I was like all self-absorbed in what I thought people were thinking of me, or like what they would think if I did this. And like I could have just done more things with people if I had done that. And even in college, it kind of grew in there. So I'd just say having more confidence, and like even nowadays, like I don't have a relationship with anybody. I
mm.
probably would have tried at least to gain one if I had a little bit more confidence in myself to actually go out and like find like an app or like go to different things. But
Yeah.
you know, that self confidence holding me back. So that's probably the thing I'd want to change the most.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so let me ask you this then. Thinking back on the life you lived so far, do you think there was ever a moment that you stressed over something a lot, but looking back on it now, you realized that there was really no reason to get that worked up?
School, but specifically elementary school and middle school,
Hmm.
because young me was an anxious wreck. And if I wasn't doing something perfect, then I was doing something wrong, and then I
Hmm.
break down like a crazy person, because God forbid I do anything wrong when I'm in first grade.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I would focus too much on making sure everything was perfect and good, and I like it took me a long time, and I'm still not completely over it of like making sure that like things are perfect. And if I'm not perfect, then like what's the point, you
Yeah.
know? Because like my mindset is always like, well, if I'm not perfect, someone else is gonna be perfect, so they'll just ask the person that's perfect.
I
Um,
see.
so like at least back then in elementary school and middle school, I think I would have just wanted to be a little bit more chill, like not worry about every single little assignment and think that's gonna be like the end of the world if I get like an 80 on my spelling test, or like if I didn't do as well in math as I wanted to.
Yeah.
Because, you know, big shocker, it turns out what you actually get as grades in elementary school and middle school really don't matter, because they only look at your high school GPA,
Yeah.
and then they only care about the GPA you got in college. So as long as you do well in those, like doesn't really matter much, does it?
Yeah. 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 For sure. Nah, I hear that. Um, I wanna reiterate that with some of these questions, especially towards the end, if you don't really feel like answering, it's completely okay. And I only
Hmm.
reiterate because the next thing I want to ask is, would you say that you're religious, and were you raised in a religious household?
Not super religious, so I'm Jewish, and so we study Judaism.
Hmm.
I I went to Jewish school, and I did that up until sixth, seventh grade. We went to synagogue fairly regularly. Um, at that time, I'd say I was pretty religious in the fact that, like, I knew a lot of religious things, and I would pray to God and all that stuff. Big issue was I have a twin brother who has autism, so
Hmm.
like there's only so much time that he's gonna spend wanting to be in a synagogue for like 2 hours. He's not gonna sit there and like be quiet the whole time,
Yeah.
because he's got other things that he wants to do.
Yeah.
So we didn't, and with him not, we didn't want to put too much stress on him about religion, because it was something that he couldn't really comprehend as much. So
Yeah.
if we're not going to put it too much on him, we're not going to really put it on the other kids as well. So it kind of fell off over time.
I
My
see.
family is fairly religious, especially like my grandparents are very religious in that way, but it's not something that really stuck mainly due to that. In
Hmm.
terms of being religious nowadays, I'm not a part of a religious community, but the way that I view it is like it's not so much like believing in God with me. It's more like being a part of a certain community
I
and like
see.
So, and I think like you kind of talked about it before, like you're trying to find a church where you are, and I think like gaining that kind of like place and like feeling like you're around people with the kind of the same idea important. And so I think that's kind of like the important thing with religion, and not so much like, do you believe in God? Yes, no. So,
Yeah.
Maybe in the future I would try to find some type of synagogue, and maybe I'd try to get back in it to like have that be part of a community type thing, but it's not like the big end all be all.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate that answer. So I have for you, let me just look over this one more time. I'm kind of like switching between these 2 pages. I have 3 final hypothetical questions, all right? I'm going to go ahead and start with this one, and then we'll end off on something a bit silly.
Okay.
But if you and your best friend were tied to 2 separate train tracks, and the train is currently headed for you, but your arm can barely reach a lever, and if you switch it, the train will hit them instead. Will you pull it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'm pulling that lever. And I think everybody says this. Oh, but like mentally, like I would want to save him, but then like physically, but like straight up, like I know for a fact that if I see that train coming, I hate like butterflies in your stomach. Like that is the feeling that I hate the most in the world is that. And so just seeing the train is gonna make that happen. And the idea that I get to feel that feeling until I get hit by a train is like the scariest thing in my life. So I would want that feeling to go away as soon as possible. So it doesn't matter who you put in the other part of that train. That feeling is going to overwhelm me so much that I'm going to pull the lever.
I see.
I just know I will. Like it just kind of is what it is. Like sorry whoever's on the other side, but like that's kind of like an impulse type thing.
No, and I feel like this is a very fair thing to say because, like you said, you're not content with where you are right now. There's things that you want to get done. There's life that you want to live. There's like things that like you really feel like you like need to accomplish before like you go. So I don't think there's any judgment that anyone can really give because I think.
I mean I don't know how many people want to hire the guy that killed his friend by a train. But other than but like hypothetically, obviously it's a hypothetical, but
yeah, completely.
Yeah, I just think knowing where I'm at with those feelings, like I'd pull that lever.
Yeah, no, and you definitely have no judgment from me at the very least.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it completely makes sense for your current situation. So another hypothetical here. Your partner, so let's just say sometime in the future, your partner has been kidnapped and is being held at a location 30 minutes away. You're driving over to rescue them. It's a warm night and your windows are down. Do you listen to music on your drive over there? Yes or no?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
In that case, well no, because I'm not gonna put on for like Z100 like Lady Gaga or like Dua Lipa. Like I'm gonna get my phone, I'm going to put like the hypest, most like blood pumping music ever, and I'm gonna put that like on the high setting, and I'm gonna drive as fast as I freaking can. 'Cause that's gonna pump me the hell up, and I'm gonna be singing the whole way through because I got to keep my energy high if I'm going to be like, because I don't know who's got my partner. It could be like killers or like gunmen. I'm gonna need like all the adrenaline I can get. So I'm pumping the hell up. So absolutely, I'm playing music because I got to keep that energy high.
Makes sense. No, gotta get that adrenaline pumping for sure. I get it. All right, this is the last question I have for you, PKK, and it is this. If I was a sickly peasant boy designated by the aristocracy to carry messages back and forth for pennies, and you found me outside the city walls with a deep wound in my chest from a musket ball and a letter clutched in my hand, what would you do if I told you that my last dying wish was to have someone read the letter to me so I know that I died for something important? But when you open it, you find a single large illustration diagram of an onion. Would you tell me what it was? What would you say to me?
I would tell them that it was an onion because the key thing is that they're maybe from a different land, and that symbol might mean something very important to them. Where it's like if he's like, oh, what's the thing say? And I'm like, it's a picture of an onion. And they're like, the sign of the apocalypse, and then they die. It's like, well, oh damn, like it was a good thing I got that little information from him now. So, because you never know what that onion could to like them. You know, it could be like some type of big thing. So I'd make sure to tell them so that we get like the full story of what is the deal with that onion.
So a question initially thrown at you as if like, oh, he's actually dying for nothing. It's just a picture of an onion. But you're thinking, wait, there's something more here that we're not seeing.
I mean, we're saying like what it's an aristocracy. Like, you know, they're not just like, are they doing it for sport? There's like, oh, let's just send this kid with an onion. Like, are they doing that for fun? Like, no, like, what a sickly peasant. So this is like back in the day. So like back in the day, you're not really trolling for fun. You got to. So
I see.
like it could be like a huge thing. Like it's like, oh, you know, it's a diagram of an onion. It's like, oh, war has begun. It's like, oh, okay, like this is a big deal. So
wow,
you know, you never want to assume. You know.
I see. No, makes sense. I like it. I like where you took it. All right, Mr. PKK. Talking for roughly an hour now. We had a lot of questions to go through. I'm sorry if like I kind of came at with you to get through them pretty quickly, but I appreciate
No, it's okay. I know we got other people we got to get to. I don't want to hold anybody up. So
yeah.
I'm sorry if I was taking too long.
Oh, no problem at all. You know, I definitely wanted to give you your time considering that we didn't get to talk to you last time, so we had like a part 1 to part 2 situation to go through. And I definitely wanted to give you your moment. So definitely thanks for your time. Definitely thanks for those answers. And hopefully we can talk again.
All right, bye, Hero, and bye, whoever's in chat watching, I guess.